Welcome back to the podcast by Zeitgeist Studio. I'm your host Digant, and today we have a riveting conversation with Ms Gayathri Padmanabhan. She is a dancer, educator, engineer, and a theatre artist. She is an avid traveler and a TEDx speaker. We at Zeitgeist Studio strive to bring conversations to you that become the guiding light in your lives. Today, we have two guests, Professor SRM Prasanna sir, the director of IIIT Dharwad, and Ms Gayathri, to discuss about the emotions and artistic aspects of bridging the gap between high schools and higher education academia. This conversation is for all of those who want to upgrade their life and become better people. So, welcome, ma'am. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, sir. Gayatri, ma'am, I'll get right into your. I have seen your introduction. So, engineer, educator, dancer, and theatre artist. Apart from that, a TEDx speaker and a traveler. What from these things would you say is the main thing that you like from all these occupations?
I like to connect with people.
Hmm.
And I like to connect with myself more. So, be it teaching, be it dance, be it stage, be it traveling. I love to listen to people. I love to listen to their life, their stories. I love to learn. So that's what I am. So in all these things, I'm looking just one.
Connecting
I
with
want,
people.
To connect with people. I want to understand this life.
So, ma'am, through, let's say, I can see that through traveling, you get to experience a lot of different cultures. You get immersed in them, maybe for a few days, but even through that, we learn a lot how to live life in a certain way. How does an engineer actually get out and connect with people? Let's say, for example, I'll be a software engineer. How do you recommend that I do that?
I think, Digant, it's always so good. Engineering is one field which will give you ideas train you to think logically, to break down, to decompose, to critically analyze, to think. In fact, we are trained for, submitting the assignments, doing all these
Yes, ma'am. Projects and everything.
In a very limited time frame. So we are kind of prepared for this stress, deadlines, and still breaking down.
Yes.
So I think if we go through that system, it really helps us in anything that we do.
Yes.
And
Yes.
right now, personally, I believe technology or engineering, specifically software engineering, is no longer a separate field. It is now interdisciplinary. You need
Yes.
to understand a broader,
Yes,
outlook
the
of
domain
life
knowledge has to
and
come in. Yes. So how do you feel this life is? Because you interact with so many people, there are so many energies that you obviously would have felt working with an artist, working with someone who's differently abled. How do you keep yourself? Do you immerse yourself in that energy, or do you?
I must, and it sometimes affects me also.
Right?
Because sometimes when some stories, it impacts us, it won't leave us. One time I was interacting with a lady, which I can't forget. Two women. One, Larzi Varghese. She started a school in slums of Mumbai. Not the Dharavi, much more pathetic slum in Mumbai. She was a normal school teacher who went there. But she's seeing the conditions of those children. She sold off her only property in Kerala, and her husband, in-laws, they were all like they all
Obviously.
left her. But she was so determined that she wanted to Malayali, that didn't know a word of Hindi, wanted to start a school there for free. And now she is like, oh my God, you have to go and see that school. I went once. But her story while interacting with her, I was feeling so jealous. Okay, I was feeling like, how could she get that courage to do it? How much ever, we think.
To take that step itself.
But everyone came back after understanding her naturally. And she got lots of UNICEF funding and all that. She went to United Nations to talk later. But that initial point.
It takes a lot of courage, ma'am.
So she comes to my mind. And there was one lady, Priya Arpai. Priya Pai. Okay, so she was an advocate, and she was working in Chhattisgarh and Bihar. She had worked in both places, and finally she's now working in Chhattisgarh, and she's exclusively staying there, staying away from her children and husband to protect the forest. And multiple times, she was telling about the experiences she was going through and the things she had seen, in the tribal communities.
Yes, ma'am.
And, oh my God, such things won't leave that fast. In fact, I feel let it come, because life is about understanding people, understanding emotions, right?
Yes, ma'am. Because obviously we only see the mainstream media that a certain actor, they close themselves off in a room to set themselves up for a movie. So if that is the case, theater art being very raw and that emotion coming in, actually immersing yourself and protecting yourself
It's very
during
tough.
that, it's very
It's
tough.
very tough. It's very tough. But an artist has to somehow find a method to,
Yes.
Maybe after that take a break, go for travel, or do something different.
So ma'am, do hobbies help in that?
Definitely. But I don't know. For me, the hobby and my work is aligned. So I'm not able to differentiate which is my hobby
yes.
and which is my work.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's usually work, and then to take the steam
it
off,
used to be
it's
that way while I was working as an employee, as a assistant professor in Amrita. But since I took up, I resigned that job and I started being on my own, then there is always, always in the feeling of like, I am.
Yeah, this is something that I want to do.
Want to do. And it doesn't feel like I'm working, in fact. It feels like I'm living.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So ma'am, that's where the TEDx talk as well comes in. That
Probably.
how do you redefine success in terms of what you want to do?
Because many times when it comes to art, in theater also, many people think movie is the destination. Because naturally, the kind of impact you can make when you are in movie, and it's so large.
Yes, ma'am.
But somewhere I felt let this journey be, I'm not thinking of the impact of it. Okay, I am just into this. Every day I need to, whatever I do, I need to think that there is a purpose in me getting transformed, or the people around me, whomever I meet. So that's what I feel success is, like how well I am available in whatever I am doing. Not just, okay, I need to achieve this, I need to achieve that. I'm not putting any such deadlines. I don't know whether that is right or wrong. But every day I'm fully present. And everything that I'm doing, I perfectly know that I am investing myself in it. And it's so rewarding that at the end of the day, I feel that I have at least become slightly better than who I was yesterday.
And ma'am, that I believe is how we strive in life as well.
Probably. Because I don't know I don't know how to keep the deadline and work for it. Would that take away the joy that I'm having right now? So
a creative process, obviously, ma'am, we can't put a deadline on it as well. Yes. So that's where I also personally feel that in my journey up till now, and I hope that in the future as well, I grow this way. But I always felt that art is something that has eluded me in the sense of how I perceive it. What, according to you, is art?
Art, according to me, is something that a human being experiences every day, in every interaction, knowingly or unknowingly. If we communicate as a teacher, if we go to the class and talk, teach something, if the teacher must be an artist. If he has to, deliver the content to the students. If a mother or a father is able to raise their child properly, then they must have that art in them, because art is at the end communicating connecting and communicating. So I feel if a sweeper is doing his or her job properly and cleaning that place, definitely he or she is an artist. So art, I feel, is inseparable. The moment we realize and embrace and enjoy the beauty of what we are indulging with, I think that it's beautiful.
So it becomes a very surreal act of just understanding what is happening around us And that
understanding
itself is
us.
art.
There is art in everything.
Everything.
The way now you're talking to me. You must be an artist to talk to me.
Yes.
Get the questions. From where are you getting the questions? No?
Yes.
So there is something that is prompting you to ask.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
prompting us to answer. Right?
Correct,
sir?
correct. No, definitely.
So,
definitely.
so ma'am, how do you think as an educator, obviously from high school to higher education as well through academia, where does art play a big, I feel that it does play a role, but how big is the impact? How does it need to be molded so that the student or a person, a human being, is benefited from that?
For that, I really would love to hear Prasanna sir's insights also.
Yeah.
Because you correct me if I am right or wrong.
Yeah.
What I have felt is, sir, and Digant, it's like right now the world is really challenging. Be it work, be it relationships.
Yes.
And we don't know what the future would be. It's quite uncertain. So at this point, everything is going in a fast-paced way. So how do we control ourselves? How do we anchor ourselves? Right?
Yes.
So I feel the more we understand emotions and art, and we are, aware of ourselves and the surroundings a little bit more, and feel our environment a little bit more consciously. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to work, very difficult to study, very difficult to maintain a relationship, very difficult to maintain, oneself. I feel so. And I'm very sure that you would be knowing much
Definitely,
more about
Gayatri. I think you summarized it well. As Gayatri mentioned, the art is a form where we connect ourselves with the external world on the daily activities what we are doing. Suppose if I don't bring that connectivity, everything becomes mechanical. When it becomes mechanical, I will strive to become one dimension. For example, if I take higher education, suppose the steps that we are taking in IIIT Dharwad in terms of, apart from the curriculum, students also should focus on whatever the interesting skills they want to
Yes.
earn proficiency. Apart from that, life skills, soft skills. See, that is the soul part of it. Now, suppose if I don't connect with the place everyday basis where, say, my students spend 4 years here, if they don't connect with the external world, then they are missing a lifetime opportunity
Yes.
of spending that memories of 4 years here. And also, it makes a better human being. I think that is one component. I think whatever the next generation you are telling, Gen Z, Alpha, Beta,
Yes.
everybody seems to be in this competitive world missing that part. So that is where art plays a very important role to bring back that fun and joy of life.
Yes.
That is where the art forms.
So I don't know if this is the right platform for me to bring this up, but I have had this theory for a long time now that through this entire JEE process, that you study for it, you prepare for it, then you give the exam. These students, they go through what I have termed as personality dysmorphia, wherein a very certain part of their entire life
Yes.
gets completely cut off. So
Correct,
for
correct.
some it's sports, for some it's dance or music. And I felt after coming to campus, some through clubs or some, for example, literature club. So I actually got back into the habit of writing and reading. And that I felt is some way I got that dimension of my personality back.
Correct.
And that I believe art is a way to get through it. Maybe sports is another one.
Yeah. Definitely. No. And that plays a very important role, especially in this competitive world, where going forward, we are creating silos in a bigger shell for ourselves. So if I don't have, appreciation for the art, it will be very difficult to lead a soulful life when they enter into the external world also. So that is
Yes,
where.
So like we even talked about this in the academic and industry as well, that the academia itself becomes a vertical.
Correct.
And if it is not joining to something else, it just becomes a vertical in itself and becomes very isolated.
Yes. Correct.
So, ma'am, another question that I have to the both of you, that how well does the current school curriculum help the students to be ready for when they come and join the higher education, and how this academia, it turns them ready for the next step in their life, maybe industry, or maybe they go again for higher studies, and basically for their entire life.
I would say I'm not an expert in answering that question, because um, with my limited knowledge, I feel there is a gap. It's just my limited knowledge with that I'm telling. I feel, slight gap in how to prepare the students to higher education, because during the 11th and 12th period, either they are fully focused on cracking the entrance exam,
Yes, ma'am.
or else they are having a different picture of how college life is. Like we get influenced by movies and all that, thinking that college life means okay, I can go there, dance. So really don't know. I had that feeling. I don't know. Probably children nowadays may not be having. I used to get think that college life would be chill. I'll be going there and then dancing and walking and all that in the corridor. And so really, what is exactly expected from them academically?
Yes.
Emotionally, what is being expected from them? I think while we are in 11th or 12th, we don't know. It's just a limited knowledge, but I really would love to listen to Prasanna sir.
Thank you. So, suppose when I watch in this higher education space, being in this premier institute for over 2 decades, see, of course, country, students come through a highly competitive examination. So for that, they prepare several years. As a result, they are compromising on whatever the other aspects of life. So as a result, and also, I think nowadays, because of the competition, somehow that phobia has come, in terms of only scoring marks. Nothing else is important in school education. It is important to perform well in academics, but that is not the end of life. So that is where, for example, now when we see in the higher education, there are a lot of gaps in terms of helping them. For me, when somebody enters into the higher education space, they're entering into their adulthood and come out as full grown adults by the time they leave my institution. But now the raw material I am getting into these institutions are not well prepared in terms of accepting what is relevant to become in this process of becoming a full grown adult, and who becomes very clear in thought and imbibe leadership qualities, go and face the society independently, and also add value to the society in which they are living.
Yes.
So so to do that, even to convince my entrant students, it's taking more time, because there are gaps in the school education. The gaps are giving preference only for higher scores and forgetting everything else. That is taking a toll on the kids. And as a result of that, from the parent side, from the teacher side, we are always creating the role models of academic toppers. And so I'm not belittling the importance, but keeping that, how do I give enough value for the art and other forms, such that their soul of life is, first thing is, when they come to this universe, that soul comes with them. But through the schooling process, we need to enhance that, rather than that we slowly diminish that and only take in one dimension. It's like a evolution in nature.
Yes,
You give priority only to one dimension, they go in that way and then forget. And otherwise they say, oh, unless he becomes an academic topper and get into a good institute, they cannot do anything. So as a result of that, these forums are missed. Now what happens, these dimensions are very important, equally important like any of the professional skills they are learning. Now this Gen Beta and all those things, when they are not only meant for leading our nation, they are also meant for the whole world.
Yes.
Unless they are prepared, and I have 4 years to prepare, but the raw materials I am getting, they are not in a well prepared stage. who are ready to
For that
accept these things
process.
and go through the process. So that is where my humble request to the teachers in the schools is how to create opportunities for them and tell that, okay, this is good to do. Along with that, you also kindly do that. That's what now the new education policy, everything is emphasizing on that.
Yes.
Because otherwise, no, from a soulful human life, we are moving like a robot. That should not happen. That is where, from the school education, that foundation should come. Then, as Gayatri mentioned, how do you differentiate between work and the other aspect you asked? No?
Yes.
Then she told, no, I don't treat it as a work, I enjoy. Same thing they should feel. So, academics, along with that, skill development as well as my soft skill development is equally important. And just a fun and joy of learning for my academics, I also have fun and joy for my life and my soul. And that is what is very important. Otherwise, we are inching towards the next generation, which is trying to imbibe the Western thing, where in silos you get into this all psychological issues, all those things, which we are not heard of in the previous generation or previous to previous generation, because they had a soulful life in terms of appreciating art, appreciating music. And I'm sure even if you watch many of the YouTube videos, who are very senior citizens are available, you see at that age also 70, 75, 80, they're bubbling with energy. And in every sentence I can make out they're enjoying their life 100%. That I don't see in my Gen Z or Gen Alpha Beta.
Yes.
How to bring that? See, school is the space, and then higher education is the space through which we have to mold them.
Yes.
And that is where we have to make a space for them. Also, I think Gayatri only told me when we are discussing, the next generation biologically is not next generation. They may be 2 generations away from us. In the sense, because of the exposure they have, knowledge, society, they are much more intellectually good in terms of questioning. And so, we need to prepare them going to their level. In the sense, I can't replicate what my parents, how they did parenthood for me, or what my teachers, how they taught me. That may not be relevant now. So that is the thing. The teachers also in the school, they have to realize. And see, now the problem happened in Indian society is both parents are working. They are aspirational careers like a Western society. As a result of that, they don't have time to spend with the kids. Then we don't have a joint family culture where grandparents used to take care. So as a result of that, the only ray of hope is the schools and the colleges, where teachers have to play that role. That's very, very important. One thing is we will train them academically, but apart from that, bring back the fun and joy of their soul.
So
to add to that, like I always feel now, the students who are coming for higher education, especially to prestigious colleges, universities like IITs and ITs, triple ITs and all, how many of them are really interested, or how many of them really know what engineering is? And they are taking, everyone wants data science, AI or computer science. Do they really know what it is, what they are going to learn? Or is it simply because they feel that they will get a highly paid job after this? So, I feel that is also one factor, sir. Like,
Correct.
They are joining it not to learn.
Yes.
They are joining it to get a job and earn money.
Yes.
It's not wrong to get a good job and earn money, but will that alone give them motivation to work and study?
No, the statistic shows, suppose even if they get through campus placement, an average lifetime for their first job is about 2 years. Even if it is a high paid job, they feel that no, I think I should do something else. So if that is the case, why do you place so much emphasis on the placement alone one dimension? And especially in the disruptions that we are going through in this tech space and external world, everything, as I told to my students, what we need to teach our students is how to learn, how to unlearn and relearn.
Yes.
And even yesterday I was discussing with one of my colleagues, more than teaching, I think Gayatri itself, more than teaching, what we require is inspiring to our next generation. That is most important than you go and teach the same topics which is available in the public domain. I'm not belittling the importance, but what is the value add you are doing for them? Then only our students will come and sit to the class. Otherwise, why somebody should come and sit? So, in that situation, all of us have to play a role. And I personally believe teachers, especially in our country, teachers have been given highest, pedestal respect in the society, mainly because, see, we can shape the future of our students or the next generation. If you are on another profession, if you don't do well, it doesn't matter. But here, we are directly impacting on the next generation. That's where all teachers, whether school education or higher education, they have to realize this and touch upon that base.
Yes. So another thing that I wanted to add is that, for example, university and colleges, institutes, even ours, gives students so many options and opportunities that they weren't really having when they were in school. So, for example, we have an open elective course of Introduction to Musicology. Usually students, they don't go through that in the school process, but because they are not open to it, they don't even think about joining it. We have a course on holistic development, but how many students actually think that yes, this is beneficial for me, because they are always thinking that I should be doing web development or DSA, and this holistic development is not something that will help me in placements, so I won't even attend the course. But the fact remains that if they were a little open to it, they would have been, not all of them, like for example, even I haven't taken both courses, but yeah, at least I'm open to actually thinking about taking the course.
That is where that is where we are expecting from the school education.
Yes, sir. That's the
that
input
appreciation they have to create in them, so that they get maximum benefit out of that. So even in many of my earlier students, when they were doing graduation, they felt some of the courses are not relevant. They are not tech-based courses. Why are we wasting our time in that? But once they finish their degree, go and work, when they become leaders and they want to handle the team, they come back and said, oh, that course, sir, that non-technical course was very important. Oh, sorry, at that time we did not realize that. We would have done better. So that is what we have to do.
Sir, another input that the high school can give, according to what I understand, is that they give clarity to the students about the career options that they have. So that way, the students who actually come into the university, so for example, a student who has taken up a commerce course should know that what they want to become, and it is aligned with what the university is preparing them to do. Because if I get an artist who plays very well, who can actually become very great flute artist, and they come into Triple IT Dharwad, the resources that are geared towards just developing them would be very insignificant if they would have joined an art college or a musical college.
Correct.
And they would have developed in a very different way.
Correct.
And that is something that high school, I believe, must imbibe into the students.
True, it's true. Because many times what happens, I feel, is like people have this feeling that they are employable only if they take engineering or medicine.
Yes.
Any other field they take, they will be left with no job.
Correct.
They will not be able to earn money. But wherever we go, we have so many people who are achieving in that and thriving in that. But unfortunately, I feel in schools or in the career, parents are unaware. Schools, I think, can do this part of really giving them opportunities to understand the different options available.
Yes, ma'am.
And allow the students, allow the parents also to motivate and support the student to take what.
Yes, ma'am. So things like some immersive experiences, maybe some field trip or some internship or some mentorship that they can get from people who are actually in that industry. Because I see students, they don't even know that they can actually become a good lawyer, because they don't even know what a lawyer actually does. And they become something like an engineer, and maybe later on in their life they feel maybe my skill set, I was geared up for maybe becoming a lawyer, but because I wasn't exposed to that at a very early age, I didn't know what to do.
I personally had done that. I personally took engineering not because I was so passionate about engineering. I took it because it was a safe option.
Yes.
Everyone was doing that. I'm also doing that. There is no bigger perspective behind that. But fortunately, it gave me some good insights and life skills. But otherwise, I could have, invested
Yes,
that time for something
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
else too.
Yes.
But didn't think about it.
I'm talking about life skills. How do you think high schools and even higher education institutes, they gear up students and people for their life? So basically, soft skills like communication, other life skills. How do you think high school and then college must gear us towards that?
In Kerala system, there is a lot of co-curricular activities happening, and NEP is now insisting on art integrated projects, art integrated pedagogy, theater based learning, holistic learning, all that. But how well the teachers and the parents and the school managements are able to take it up in the right sense or implement it that way, I don't know how effective that is, but it's such a beautiful idea.
Correct. Yes.
So I don't know. So primarily I was like looking forward to this interaction because I wanted to hear sir's insights on
Yes. So
how the curriculum must be, you think, in school, so that you get better raw materials.
Correct. So see, at least as teachers in the schools, they will be able to spot the raw talent in which where they are interested. Now, by the time they are given emphasis too much on marks and they have come to the higher education, already they would have subsidized that emotions or the art form they are interested. Because every individual comes with certain art form. If teachers can nurture that and make it to grow, support them, that will be a great value. Maybe just like now in higher education, because of the national education policy, we have given so much freedom for them to pursue this. The same thing can be taken to the school levels, where we need to include that as a part of curriculum and encourage students and nurture them and grow them. See, once they get the taste of it, then they will grow. It is like a small sapling we are putting, and that sapling, planting that sapling, taking care of initial few years, that will happen in school. And that the teachers have to do. Then at that point, now in higher education space, now Gayathri came for 2 days workshop on emotions. Such a wonderful workshop. Suppose if they are well prepared, I think crowd would have come.
They will have received it very well.
Because not aware of the taste, they are simply focusing on certain things. Maybe they also would like to enjoy, but they are thinking, no, hard skills are more important.
So they were quite apprehensive that I would be crying in front of people. I don't want to touch that emotion in front of others because maybe it's not a safe space. And maybe because what happens is, for people, their safe space is actually a little more wider than expected. So for example, they don't want to cry in front of, let's say, 5 people, but they would be willing to do that in front of maybe 2 who are very close to them. So that kind of a upbringing and maybe how they create that safe space for themselves is something that must be taught at a high school level.
And see, what we need to do now, of course, one good thing is your generation is, they are very honest. They are very forthcoming in terms of giving their feedback, and they are ready to take risk. But this emotional space, what you told, maybe it is difficult for them even to find good number of friends. And they may have a problem in opening up in front of their peers. That is where we should not make any taboo subject out of that. How to bring them to the open place. Let them cry. Okay, let them open up. Then they start unfolding themselves and identifying what lacuna they have, how to fulfill that.
Hmm.
I feel this 4 to 5 years of higher education space we have, they have enough space to identify their lacunas
Hmm.
and work on them to improve.
Yes. Yes.
Suppose on the other hand, when they after passing out goes for a profession,
Hmm.
they carry these lacuna with them and they are in a leadership position, they are unable to handle, it will be disaster for them.
Yes.
That is where this education setting has been done.
Hmm.
And as a teacher, it is my responsibility. I should allow, if some student experiment it, let them experiment. And if there is anything go wrong, we should support them like parents. Nothing wrong. So you don't do this later.
Yes.
Because they are adult, they are able to take their decisions.
Yes.
How do we support them? And that is where again and again I come back. The only pipeline we have for this society is the education setting. And we have a lot of responsibility. And that is where in the curriculum itself, in the school level, that sapling should be put in place.
So maybe that's why it's called a nursery.
Correct.
Is it the smallest education?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because even plants are kept, small saplings are kept in the
Correct.
nursery.
Yes.
And so I remember my teacher in school, they used to tell me that this school is a very closed box where you can do all your experiments.
Yes.
The college is a little open, much more open.
Yes.
But in the real world, if you do a mistake,
Correct.
everybody will be there to catch you. Every time you slip,
Yes.
they will be there to bring you down.
Yes. So that is where I feel we should.
So ma'am, how do you think? I'm so sorry, ma'am. Please.
No.
Oh, so ma'am, how do you think from a high school perspective, all these soft skills, so things like critical thinking, problem solving, how can these be inculcated into the education system?
Yeah, actually, now in the school curriculum also, they are implementing it. Like, they have proper course outcomes, program outcomes. They put the questions based on the Bloom's taxonomy level. The same way, like in universities also, where everything they map it to which outcome or which taxonomy. Is it in more, rote learning by hearting question, or is it a question where creativity is used? All that they are implementing. But I personally don't know how much of that is being effective to the children how much the students are they aware of this, like are they
Ma'am,
aware
that absorbing capacity.
are they really being aware that okay, I am asked to do this particular project because this helps me in my critical thinking,
Yes.
or I am asked to do this. I'm not asked a simple question to simply explain or define.
Yes.
Because moving to the next segment of their life, that is what they are
Yes,
expected
ma'am. We
to
were
do.
having this discussion about the courses as well. That our first and second year courses, we should be able to understand how are these setting me up for the next part of my education, and that next part, it is setting me up for the job that I'll have. And each things goes obviously chronologically. And so the same question for higher education, academics as well. How do we imbibe critical thinking skills, given that we have the correct input from the high schools? How do we transform that into higher order thinking skills and everything that comes with it?
So as Gayathri mentioned, this course objectives and the Bloom's taxonomy, they are important, but how much effective in implementing that? For example, that is where I feel it is more mechanical, if I may say so, from the teacher's point of view, and also mechanical from students' point of view also. So as a result of that, the real purpose, whether we are meeting or not, we don't know. For example, if we go back and read the history of our nation, even in my own childhood, my teachers who were in my village, they were so passionate about their profession. And for them, except teaching, molding students, teaching them, there is no other world for them. That type of 100% involvement was there. Personal attention to the students. So how to, and also suppose if there is an academic topper in the school, they used to appreciate, but it is not taken as a great thing to suppress other students or something. So that mindset has to change in the going forward, either in our teachers or from the parent side also. So a child is a unique thing which is coming to this universe. They have their own capabilities. That we should realize at the earliest. So that is where, even in the higher education space also, when they come, how do I help them? Suppose now I told, no, the raw material is having challenges. But again, now I have a crucial period of 4 years.
Yes.
How do I help as a system in all these aspects? One is the academics, other one is the skill, what is they require. The third one is life skills. That is what we need to take.
Sir, so speaking about the higher education, it's not just undergraduation, right? It's PG as well as doctoral candidates.
Correct.
So how do you feel the quality of the students coming for, or the motivation for, someone joining for PG or this PhD?
So, see, even if I take a PG or PhD, that is also driven by economic factor like undergraduate rather than interest. Okay. For example, in the last few years, the admissions to PG courses have dwindled in higher education institutions, especially technical space. One of the reason we find is there is no value add they are getting after BTech. If they do an MTech, what is the value add they are getting? Suppose economic factor only if I take, whether it will add their a better package for in the placement, or whether they really master something in their bachelor's program specialization they have done, that seems to be not there. So that is where things are. Then it is not that students that is the main factor which is deciding. Along with that, okay, there is a small portion of the fraction of student may be interested in higher studies, but for them after bachelor's, if they have a job, they really in one go, I am not thinking about a career, first let me do masters and PhD. That is a very minor percentage. So that is where even research also it happens in the same way. It's not really passionate to do research based degree. It is that percentage is again minor rather than putting a what percentage, but it's a minor compared to the majority of them who are taking admissions. I can say it's more from a degree point of view. Maybe it may help some career at some point, rather than have to do it with passion. That person.
So is it like a lack of options? I don't have any other option, so I'll choose going for a master's maybe. Is that the case?
No, that also is not there now. Last few years, for example, maybe 1 decade back it might have been there. I did not did get a better career opportunity. Let me go to masters and then but that is also not happening. And now going forward, now I think the phenomenon we are observing for last few years, the masters in international universities have become a very common factor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as a result of that, and they can afford that through bank loans, everything, then want to get a master's degree from an abroad university. Why somebody will come for a master? So if that is the case, if I want to really make my master's degree and PhDs attractive, as an institution, as a faculty, we need to think how does it adds value for students. And if you convince them really this is how it will change your perspective in the specialization that you are looking, this is how it will add value for your future career, then I think we will be able to get more on board. But on their own, first thing is I close my eyes, I want to join PG, that percentage is very, very less nowadays.
So I think it all boils down to the very fundamental where the students they start and how they grow. And so that is the fundamental question of this entire conversation that we had, that how do students, even higher education and high schools, how do they prepare students emotionally and academically for the life ahead. Ma'am, going from high school, how would you say that this is being done, and how would you recommend it be done?
Definitely, mental well-being, emotional well-being has to be given a lot of emphasis, because right now children from first standard also, they are going through depression. Okay, and small children are also attempting suicides. 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. So if such small children are attempting suicide and they don't want their life, they don't value their life, they feel fed up of their life, then what are we doing?
As a society, it is a very big question.
Yes, but life is, I don't know whether with AI to be optimistic or to be pessimistic. But currently, what I've observed is with the social media and all that, it is not that great emotionally in a mental, well-being front. I think not just for students, kids, for every human being.
Yes, ma'am. Even there was a study that the increase in the exposure to stimuli, it has made our the even response time is very small.
Very small.
The focus is gone.
And it's not just for students; it's for everyone. At least for me also, I can feel that. Like a lot of time, I might be thinking, okay, I just spent 10 minutes in Instagram, but when I look the well-being,
yes,
I would have spent much more than what I was.
That's very true. That's very true.
So, and definitely it is so mental health. I feel parents, students, teachers, society as a nation, as a planet altogether has to be given a lot of emphasis. Because moving forward, they need to somehow find a balance. We need to, not they, we collectively need to find a balance.
How? So, ma'am, the stakeholders, they become very prominent. If I have to better myself, the first stakeholder is myself, then maybe my parents, then my teachers, and the society I live in.
I think parents and teachers must understand that their children are living in a generation or in a world which is totally different from theirs.
Correct.
So they need to be, trying their level best to understand the students, the children. Because children, they may not be able to understand the past generation.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we need to talk in their language, talk to them, get insights from them, learn from them, and create that feeling with the students and children that we can talk, we can discuss.
And does art somehow come into this, wherein if I practice a certain art, it takes me for that amount of time, it takes me away from that overwhelming stimuli of just going through social media or going through some movies or just Netflix and everything. Would you recommend that?
See, Digant, like we had, performances. We had theatrical performances like Sanskrit theatre in Kerala called as Kudiyatam, Kathakali, and so many rich dance and theatre forms and folklore and fine arts and drawing and painting and literature all across this country. So people could sit and watch a 12-hour long Kudiyatam or Kathakali. But now, can we watch a 10 minutes video?
No.
So that's a problem. So art, we need to introduce again, once again. Because focus has to be brought back. And like you were telling, they were feeling that, okay, if we come for a theatre workshop, I'll have to cry.
Yes.
They have to get used to their emotions. They have to get used to being in one place, observing an art form, empathizing with the character, reading a book, and taking that whole time to go into that.
Yes, to visualize
that place. That author has written.
Yes.
So that visualization is that person's alone. That world is.
Yes.
If you read a book, I read a book, your visualization and my visualization would be
completely different.
Or if I sit and make a pottery, they must feel that time that I'm investing to make a pot or to make a painting, it is worth. Now they feel that if I sit and make a pottery, that time I could have gone for the entrance coaching. Or I can take that particular course in Coursera.
Not just that, if I'm painting this mug, how many likes will I get on Instagram if I
Yeah,
post
that
it?
too. Now,
The mindset has completely
completely
changed.
changed. While traveling also we'll see, oh,
Mm.
which photo can I post in?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Rather than
right?
just enjoying the nature
Yeah.
or just taking the photo for ourselves,
Yeah.
it's for Instagram, it's for social
I
media.
too do that.
Yes,
No, I'm telling, I'm apologizing and I'm equally regretting also. Same thing.
So just to add, what Gayatri told, suppose when we were students, of course, there is no mobile phone, there is no social media. Four or five friends of us go to a small place to drink a tea. We used to enjoy,
yes, yes.
sip tea, discuss about life and all those things. But now you see, you imagine the scenario, all five friends will go with their mobile phones, and instead of discussing a topic, they will be watching their mobile phone, and friend will give a tea, and even you may not realize what you are drinking. Okay, situation has come to that. Even suppose a small experiment, suppose I don't take my mobile phones to the tea shop I am going. I'll go with my friends and I'll sit with them, enjoy my tea for
Yes.
15 minutes. When I go to dinner, I don't take my mobile phone, and I'll at least taste the vegetables which I am taking, the
Yes.
curries which I am eating, how the taste is made. That itself is not there. Suppose you are looking at mobile phone and taking the food, no, I don't think you are engrossed in that addiction such that the sensation of taste is not coming to the forefront. And I don't want to take name, but if you go and see the history, the greatest people in our nation who have reached the pinnacle of success in their profession, they have a very good practice, very professionals in the other form. Take it drama, take it music, many things. And they are able to still in the pinnacle of their academic success.
Yes, yes.
What this art form will do is, it will create what is called time dilation. Time dilation means once I get into that, I am forgetting this word.
Yes.
That you cannot get through any other things. And that unwinding is required on a daily basis. Then that that richness of life gets imbibed in.
Because it triggers a lot of creativity and brain and neurons when we sit to appreciate art or perform an art or do
Yes.
something. So
And ma'am, I believe it also builds a very safe space around you. I always feel whenever I get on stage, this stage is my
Home.
place. This is
Yes.
my place. This
Correct.
is where Digant is.
belongs
Yes.
to
And
us.
everybody, no one else is with me.
Correct.
Or if someone is a fellow performer, it's just us.
Yes.
And it's my place wherein I am able to express myself.
Correct.
And then when I get down,
Yeah.
I always feel a very surreal thought. Yeah, I have achieved something.
Correct.
I have said something and
Yes.
people have listened.
Yes.
It's very different.
Yeah.
And I feel everything, even culinary art for that matter, if I make good food and people eat, they enjoy, it's something that I have done
Correct.
that has added value in someone else's life.
So
So art is very important, and the overuse of drugs also, is something that is quite worrying in the school as well as the whole
Higher education
higher
space.
education especially. Don't know how that can be. Don't know.
So that is where, suppose if we bring them into their life skills, they themselves will overcome.
Yeah, it becomes a
You don't
drug
have to
dependency is how we.
depend on a drug to
Yes.
feel intoxicated.
Yes, that again, it comes down to basic chemicals, that some endorphins and some hormones which make them feel happy are not present, and then through these dependencies, they are able to generate that into their bloodstream, and maybe for a few minutes or few hours, they are able to feel that that excited state. But if you are able to do that through some, it can be done.
Positive energies.
Yes.
So,
I personally felt that. So for the longest time, I've been with the literature club, but through the cultural fest, I was dancing as well. And I felt that maybe dancing is something that I do on my own time. It shouldn't be pleasant to view for others.
Correct.
But when I do it for myself, it's such a good thing.
Such
And
a
I feel
great
so happy.
experience.
Even if I'm sweating, it's happiness. It's even if I play basketball, even though afterwards I have to go back, take bath and everything, it's an extra thing that I have to, but still it feels so good. And even if it's not with, it's not a professional setup. Even if I'm playing with friends, 2 or 3, it's such a good feeling.
And also, see the perspective, no, oh, I am participating in this art or other activities. Oh, it is reducing my time for my academic. That is a myth.
Sure, that is really
Okay,
Yes.
even you can do much more efficiently if you participate in that.
very much.
Once you wind up
Yes.
and unwind and come back, which you are struggling for 1 hour, you may be able to do it in 5 minutes.
Correct.
True. True.
Because that
1000%.
mind will become free.
Correct.
That is very,
And
very important.
focused.
Yes.
So that is where I feel that should become a very companion of generation.
Yes.
So that
Moving forward, art must be
Yes.
integrated as a fabric of
yes,
education.
yes, yes. So that's
And art in the bigger sense,
art
the
in
one
bigger
that you
yes,
talked about at the
including
start.
everything, including not everything, travel,
And not
cooking,
teaching
talking.
students to actually identify what art they are involved into.
correct.
So that when let's say for example, I'm doing some mundane task, if I'm able to transform my mindset to actually look at it as an art form, I will be much more involved into that rather than just
Yes,
doing.
yes, yes. No,
For
that-
example, cooking for a lot of people is a very mundane task. Let's say making tea.
Correct,
But
correct.
for me, when I was starting, chai patti leke tha, a different
You
way of
enjoy
doing.
it, yeah.
You enjoy. And maybe that is something that if we are able to hold on to that, the experience it transforms from
Yes.
something that is
Very, very,
boring to
very.
something that is,
Definitely.
and that capacity to identify that, I believe, is something that I have
That-
personally been working on as well.
That we should do it from the school days.
Yes, yes,
And see, that is what, just like breathing, blood, and all those things are there for our soul. That part is important.
yes, yes.
So to keep us live and enjoyable for our life. So that is what.
With that, ma'am, we'll wind up. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much. No,
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Digant, and the team for all of you, doing this podcast.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
sure, as teachers, we all realize the importance of the roles that we are playing at this critical juncture of our nation and the world. See, we are sitting in a backyard of the society where we are preparing the next generation. Better we should realize that and contribute to the society. That is very, very important. Starting from the school thing and the higher education. Even teachers have to realize and the systems have to realize and help the nation. Without education, there is no nation.
Yes.
And that is where the role of institutions and teachers comes into picture. And even as teachers, we should not climb for appreciation. That they should it is my duty, responsibility. And one more biggest thing I realize as a teacher, every aspect of life is included there.
Yes.
And where do you get this golden opportunity to touch upon the lives of next generation?
Yes.
That if every teacher realizes, my God.
And so that too at a very large volume.
Large volume.
The amount of students
Yes.
in this institute every
Whole
year.
nation, our nation, my God, we are provided with such intellectual capital. How do we touch upon them? That's a very important aspect which you have to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Gayathri, for wonderful things. I really enjoy whenever I get into discussion with you. And I also got the feedback from my teachers and students. That was a wonderful workshop she has done. I think many more, should come for our institute, and also every higher education institution should have that, because see, this generation, they are going through a different hollow space. How do we get into and help them?
Yes.
And for their motivation level, if we help that dimension, they'll unfold like anything.
Yes.
That we say, the Virat Roop, that will come out.
Yes.
That
And it's really helpful for us also.
Yes, 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 yes.
Because they give us lot of different perspectives on
Correct,
life,
correct.
which
Definitely.
we never thought.
Yes, yes, yes.
And no, this is something that at the very beginning we were talking, that an artist has to immerse themselves into these energies. And I always feel that students, they bring a very positive
No,
energy.
no,
Very
definitely,
much,
definitely.
very much.
So where do I have this opportunity to talking to an youngster like you, all of you, no?
Yes, sir.
If I am in another profession, no, my age people only will be there. We'll all
Yes, sir.
discussing that type of life only.
Yes.
Where do I, for example, through you, I am sensing the next generation.
Hmm.
What is happening in society?
Yes, sir.
That is where we are very lucky to be
Very
teachers.
lucky
and-
because we get an opportunity to correct ourselves.
Correct, correct.
I always feel every class, every time, oh, I understand. Okay, this is something that I need to change because there's a lot of other things going on. They have a different perspective on certain things. It's so nice.
A special thanks to all the members of Iridescence, the photography, videography, and video editing club of IIIT Dharwad. Zeitgeist is a member club of the cultural committee at IIIT Dharwad and is extremely proud and thankful to the administration of IIIT Dharwad who made this all possible. Thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.